What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. Coming off a tough loss, but you know what? I'm not overreacting. I know a lot of people are insanely upset. All the chats I'm in, all the people I talk to about the Nuggets are freaking out about the loss, and I'm not that upset by it. Denver's coming off a super short turnaround. I believe they got landed at 3 o'clock in the morning. They played the game. I believe it was a 8 o'clock Mountain Time start. So you're on a very short turnaround. You have a day to, it's not even a full day to get yourself prepared. And I think we saw that with the main player. I think that we saw that in out of everybody was Tim Hardaway Jr. He goes 1 for 5 from the 3 point line, 2 for 7 from the field. Majority of his threes look short. Sure, he had one or two that hit the back rim and just went flying, but a lot of his threes look short. In my opinion, he just looked like he wasn't prepared to play, and that's not on him. And you're coming off a short turnaround with two starters, two of your best players missing. Julian Strawther off the bench missing. So even if they wanted to give Tim a break, you really can't, because your replacement for Tim would have been Julian Strawther. And instead of that, you play Hunter Tyson. I'll get into that in a little bit. But it's tough when you're a guy who's supposed to be your main shooter off the bench, can't hit shots, and you're sort of stuck with that starting five, because nobody on the bench really did much except for one player who I'll get to in a little while. So it's tough, because even the starting five, Spencer Jones, replacing that AG or CB role and not really being able to score much. 1 point. I love what he does on the court defensively and hustle wise. I think that he's a great player. I think he's one of Denver's best hustle players, and I think that he deserves to be on this team for the playoffs. Come that time, if Denver's in it, which knock on wood, but as of right now they should be. I think he deserves to be there, but he needs to be there when AG and CB are there, because he needs them to be the offensive threats while he's that defensive threat. Even Julian Strawther, if he's not gone at the deadline, somebody who can give a little bit of that flair and that fight when it comes to that offensive side of the ball where you're able to shoot threes. So, like I said, I would love to see those guys come back and Spencer Jones be on the roster with them. The one thing that bothers me is that I feel like whenever Cam Johnson plays well, the Nuggets lose, especially in like the last couple of days. Go 25-4, 7 for 11, 4 for 7 from the 3 point line, one block, no steals, and Denver ends up losing the game. Tough game to lose, like I said, but I'm not stressing over it. Early game in November, you're coming off short turnaround. You're missing two starters. You're missing one of your bench scorers. And I know that the Nuggets are missing. I mean, the Kings are missing Domantas Sabonis, but Precious played a good game tonight defensively on Jokic. I think they were very physical. Jokic, the Nuggets in general couldn't be physical back, and I think that took a toll on them as well. Jokic played 30. I think all the starters, or Cam, Jamal, and Jokic played 37 minutes. P. Watt played 34. Spence played 24. And even Bruce Brown played 27. You could see he had no legs under him. He went 1 for 7, 0 for 3 from the 3 point line. He went 2, 3, and 3 on the stat sheet. So you could tell that the players' legs weren't fully under them. They were definitely a little bit gassed and a little bit tired out from that turnaround. And it's a tough game, but they're gonna come back. They got a game on Monday, and then I'll get into that tomorrow. You come back, you got a break, and like I said, I'll cover that all tomorrow in tomorrow's episode. But the other thing I want to hop into, which something that bothered me, is David Adelman's rotation. Now, call me crazy. I understand that you want to get people involved, and like I said, you want to attempt to play a guy who's going to make up those shooting minutes in Tim Hardaway Jr., and you play Hunter Tyson. Now, Tyson got the ball in the corner. He pump fake to hesitate to a 3 point shot opportunity. And the announcer made a comment saying something along the lines of, well, that's what's going to happen when you have a guy who you don't really play much, they're going to hesitate. No, you're an NBA player. If you're on the roster, you're not a G Leaguer. You're not a two-way guy. You're a guy who's been on the roster. You have an NBA Finals ring. Sure, you didn't play a lot, but you have to be ready at all times, especially when you're a guy who's guaranteed a contract right now. Right? The Nuggets call up Deron Holmes, and I was super excited because I think I said last episode, Deron should play this game, right? Especially if AG's missed the game, Deron should play. And to see Hunter Tyson the game early, and listen, I know it was early and it didn't really affect the game later on, but I think if you're going to give those early minutes to somebody, give them to Deron. Let us see what he could do. right? And you have the opportunity next game to do it as well. If they do keep him up. But I think those were the minutes that Duran should have gotten. I think that we should have seen what he would be able to do in the NBA, what he'd be able to do alongside Nikola Jokic, especially in those minutes, because he's supposed to be a shooter. And you know what? Like, I think he looks more comfortable. When we saw, at least in preseason, he looked more comfortable than Tyson. Even though everybody said he looked like a deer in headlights, I know he still has things to work on, but we can't figure that out unless they play him. So, like I said, and Tyson didn't play too much. He played 8 minutes, 2, 1, and 2. His points were from free throws. He didn't hit a shot. Like I said, I would have just liked to see Duran get those minutes. The other thing that really bothered me was Val was having a good game, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Val was having a really good game, and I feel like, I don't know if it was the entire third quarter or a majority of the third quarter, the starters were in there, and Val really didn't see much playing time, and I didn't think that was the smartest move in the world. He wasn't really grabbing boards, but I'm going to hop into that segment now. But Val, good game. He 8, 2, and 1 off the bench, 4 for 8 from the field. Like I said, he wasn't grabbing much rebounds, but he was dominating their backup center. And I would have liked to see Jokic get a little bit more time on the bench, especially in that third quarter instead of gassing them out. And I think that was the one thing rotationally that David Adelman struggled with a little bit there. And I know that he's still learning as well. He's a younger coach. But I think that if a guy like Val is dominating, and Jokic dominated 44, 13, and 7, I just think if Val is gonna play at that level, and maybe he's not rebounding, to the perfect extent. If he's gonna play at that level, then you might as well just let him play a couple minutes while Jokic get a break at the closer to the end of the third, and then you have Jokic with fresh legs the entire fourth quarter, rather than playing him and gassing him out and starting the fourth quarter with Val. I would have rather seen Jokic play the entire fourth quarter rather than Val starting it and seeing Val at the end of the third quarter and Jokic just playing out. That would be my main thing with David Adelman. And like I said, the guys were tired, right? And Val was a guy who was in and able to really work in that backup role today and gave Jokic the break that he needed. But I think that DA needed to just get fresh legs out there, which he didn't do. And that's the one thing we saw with the Kings is they had fresh legs. They don't start Schroeder. He's coming off the bench now for Russ. Russ had a good game, 21, 6, and 11, 2 for 6 from the three-point line, but 9 for 16 from the field. But the one guy who Denver could not stop was Dennis Schroeder, man. 21, 3, and 7 in 18 minutes. He comes in, 6 for 8 from the field, 3 for 3 from the three-point line, 6 for 6 from the free throw line, plus 20 in the box score. I mean, this guy came in and just made all the difference in the world for the Kings. The Nuggets did not have that tonight. They didn't have a guy who was able to come off the bench and really just dominate. And the Kings did because they had a fresh set of legs. And you see Neat Clifford play a little bit. You see Reynaud, who actually got dominated. Precious played some good minutes, even though on the box score it doesn't really show that. Only at 7 and 4. But he played some good defensive minutes. He wore Jokic out. Eubanks wore Jokic out. But Schroeder came in and made all the difference in the world on the offensive side of the ball. So kudos to Dennis Schroeder. Good games to the Kings. Like I said, I'm not really stressing it. It's a game in November, and I know every game counts, but Denver's missing 2 of their best players, and hopefully there's a deal that could be done, made soon, where it gets Denver back in the real contention. And I think that just means getting rid of some of the younger guys if you're able to, but if not, so be it. But that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Like I said, I will get more out tomorrow regarding the upcoming game, and I'll have an pregame episode out for the Grizzlies game. But that's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys later.